and product distribution are among the business sectors putting down roots in Durant and bringing with them a higher standard of living for city residents.
Over the last 2 decades, the Durant Industrial Authority has been able to recruit nearly $1 billion in new investment to the community. This has been accomplished through local partnerships with the City of Durant,
ready when you are, Mayor.
Okay, I'm ready. Stop this out of the way. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to fudge it a little and say it's just 6 o'clock, but the Durant City Council for July 12th is now in session, and we'll call it to order. And would everyone please stand for the invocation by James Dalton, and we'll have a special flag salute. I'll announce that after.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the breath of life you give us, the health you give us before we live, Father. We thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy. Father, we want to lift up our community to you as we do the community's business tonight. We lift up our council, our leadership. We pray for strong leadership, commitment, humility, and for us all to do the right thing, Father. Lord, we just lift up our people who have to be out in the heat working. We pray for their safety. We pray for those who had tragedy in their lives recently. Lord, again, we thank you for every good thing. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing. We have a young lady named Molly. Where are you, Molly? Would you please come up front? She happens to be Councilman Humphrey Miller's niece. She sure looks better than he does. And she's gonna lead our flag salute.
Right there.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Yay! Humphrey, you need to be proud.
Yes, I do.
We'll have our roll call.
Councilmember Brittingham.
Here.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Morris.
Here.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Here.
Mayor Groby.
Here. We are all here tonight, and the first thing we have is presentations, and they are Employee Service Awards for the second quarter of 2022, and we always usually go down front, so I think we need to keep the family tradition. So y'all will follow me. Thank you so much. I might add that we have a combined 145 years of dedicated service to the city of Durant in this group. And the first one's of 5 years, William Watkins, landfill. Hello, William. He gets a certificate, a pen, and $50. And congratulations.
Thank you.
We have a 10-year pen for Deanna Kirkendall, utility billing. She gets a certificate, a pen, and $100. Congratulations. Congratulations. Okay, thank you. We have 15 years, Jay Lynn, Fire Department, a certificate, a pen, and $150. 25 years, David Owens with Parks. He gets a plaque, a certificate, a pen, and $250,000. All right. He's taking us all out to eat, I think. And our last one we have tonight on here is, we have a 30-year pen. We have Laura Hyder, Police Administration, plaque, certificate, pen, $300. We can do it.
Hold on just a moment, I need to put this in. The building department. Sorry.
One more picture, you guys. You want to get your picture made? Photo option here.
Oh, you want me?
Did we get everybody? Okay, last but not least, 30-year pen goes to Chief David Hauser. He gets a plaque, a certificate, a pen, and $300. And he's going to give it to Bonnie.
I am.
Congratulations. And gotta get the picture. That concludes it, everyone. Thank you all so much. John, would you hand that? Okay, moving right along, our next item is citizen comments. And we have one lady, I believe, Ms. Powell, who wishes to address the council. And Ms. Powell, if you would come forward to the podium. You have a 3-minute limit, and we'll be happy to hear what you have to say.
Okay. I'm here pertaining to the tree trimming in Durant. I lost my son, and I went to Tucson, Arizona, for a while. And while I was gone 5.5 months. While I was gone, the company came on my property and trimmed my trees illegal. I did not give them permission. When I got home, I got a certified letter saying that I owed $800 and something. And so I sent them a notice, and I told them that I was out of town, that I didn't know anything about them trimming any trees, and that I wasn't going to pay it. And so they, and I tried to get in touch with them. I wanted to talk to them. I think I've been to every office here in the city hall trying to get a hold of somebody, and they just passed the buck. They didn't really know who to send me to. And so I think that that's pretty bad when you can't even leave home without somebody coming on your property and taking charge. During the meantime, OG&E came out and finished my trees and cut down trees and bushes. My yard boy had to come and clean up the yard after that first group came and made a mess. And and then they're trying to charge me, and I don't know what they did. You couldn't even tell. My yard boy said that they just made a mess, and he came out and cleaned it up. And so, but I haven't been able to get any. They referred me to several different people. I tried to contact them. No one answered my messages on the phone or anything. And they put a lien on my house. And I did not know one thing about it till it came through the grapevine that I had a lien on my house. And so that's when I started trying to find out some information. And they did not let me know. They claimed that they sent me a letter for a hearing. I did not receive a letter about a hearing. And I'm 92 years old, but I'm still smart enough to know what's going on.
I got a feeling you are.
Thank you, Ms. Powell.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. Our next item of business is consent items. We have several, like A and B. One of them is consider approval of regular minutes and the budget supplement. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the consent items.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote.
Mayor, while we're waiting, I would just like to know if we could give Mrs. Powell a name and number she could contact to further discuss her dilemma. Who would that be, John or Tom?
Councilman Morse, I have been in contact. Ms. Powell has hired legal counsel, or retained legal counsel, and he reached out to me, and I've responded to him, and I haven't heard anything back. So there's been some communication.
Motion on consent item passes. There have been no items removed. So moving right along, we're going to jump right on down to administration unless anyone has any questions on any of the reports. Under administration, number 4A, discussion, consideration, and possible action on a final plat request for property location near Main Street and Radio Road, PC 2022-17. Ms. Danielle.
Good evening. This is a final plat request for property that's located near Main and Radio Road. This is essentially what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to move the lot line about 40 foot to the east. The Planning Commission did hear the item at their meeting. This did receive a letter of support that should have been in your packets as well. The utility easement was the only thing that was required from staff, and that was placed on the plat. There was no further comments or anything from the Planning Commission or staff, and both have recommended for approval. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them. The applicant is also here if you have questions for him.
Does anyone have any questions? Discussion?
Just for clarification, the lot line moving to the east is the interior lot and not the lot next to Radio Road.
Correct, yes. It is the interior lot line, yes.
Further discussion? Call for the motion.
I'll make the motion we approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. Item 4B, discussion, consideration, and possible action of REV 022-02, a request for a revocable permit for property located near Main Street and Radio Road.
This is for the same property we just had the final plat on. This is for a revocable permit. This will be for the parking that'll be abutting Main Street. It's the whole length of the lot. There's approximately 31 parking spaces in that area that they are requesting the revocable permit for. The only question that came up from staff is as far as if the revocable permit should ever be revoked down the road, should it be approved, would there be enough parking spots to accommodate for the parking? That's a question that we don't have the answer to, only because we're at that point in the process of the project where we don't have the full plans as far as, and we're not, now with the final plat, we'll be able to get a little closer to that. So we won't know until we get those plans as far as how many parking spots are gonna be required. Based on some conversation with the building inspector and myself, we kind of are leaning probably what's going to happen, where we think what amounts would be required, but again, we won't know that confirmed until we have the plans and everything like that. But outside of that, there was no other questions. Staff did sign off on it supporting the revocable permit. Again, the only question was parking. There's about 16 spots that are not in the revocable permit area, so that may work just fine as far as the parking spaces that will be required. It also may depend upon what happens with the variance. I'll be going for the Board of Adjustment as well.
Any questions? Call for a motion.
I move we approve revocable permit request REVO 2022-02.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. 4C, discussion, consideration, and possible action on ordinance O-2022-17, adding chapter 114, film and video production to the Durant Code of Ordinances. 1, ordinance O-2022-17, section 1 through 2.
This is something that staff has been working on with help of the Chamber of Commerce, as well as a resident who has been a part of the film crew and a part of helping with communities with the film office, and he is here also if there's further questions that he can help answer and kind of tell you a little more of the importance of how this will help Durant. What ultimately the city's trying to do is become what's considered in the state as film friendly. What that film friendly will do is that film friendly will put us on the state's film and music office's website as far as being a community that has processes in place for filming. And those processes, one of the first steps is you either have to have an ordinance or resolution supporting the film and having a film permit. That's part of the process, and that's the process that we're at. The other part of it is you have to have a person that's in charge of handling the film crews as they come in and kind of soliciting Durant for that. That's not going to be the city staff's job, as it were. We've talked to the Chamber of Commerce, and they've been willing to kind of step into that role. Staff did talk to other cities that are currently considered film-friendly as far as having resolutions or ordinances or how they were doing it. And we ultimately come up with the idea of coming up with the ordinances. That way there was a set of guidelines that basically told them this is what we expect, this is what is required, and it would have more teeth in it should we have a problem down the road with any of them. The other part of it is we had a meeting with department heads, because department heads are going to be signed off, and then the city manager will be the one that will approve it. So we wanted to make sure everybody was on board with how the permit process was going to work. And that part has been done, and everybody is on board with how the process will work. The ordinance that was in the packet online was changed only with the penalty part added, and that was added at your stations this afternoon. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, and we have other people here that can help answer questions or comment on anything you guys have.
Questions?
I'd like to hear from the resident that is involved in this.
I believe he's here.
I have some remarks prepared, or you can ask questions however you'd prefer.
I prefer to listen to your remarks first.
Okay. Well, I got them all written out for you. On September 3rd, 1970, then Lieutenant Governor George Nye gave an address at the Oklahoma Capitol. He announced that after several Oklahomans had traveled with him to Hollywood with the goal of attracting film productions to shoot in the state, they'd finally landed their first success. The film shot 2 scenes in a small rural setting over the course of 10 days that very month, and the cast and crew stayed in a hotel in a nearby community. That film would make the cover of Esquire magazine in April of 1971, as they deemed it the best film of the year, only 4 months into the year. The film has found itself in contemporary times included in the book 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, edited by Stephen Schneider, and is included in the Criterion Collection, a collection of films considered the best ever produced. In 2012, that film was inducted into the United States National Film Registry in the Library of Congress, being deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The film's fans include famed director Richard Linklater, who listed 16 reasons he loves the film. That film is Tulane Blacktop. The small town was Boswell, and the town in which the cast and crew stayed was Durant. The film permit proposal before you is the result of the cumulative work of my professional film career, including 4 years of heading up what I call Film Durant. I began in 2017 canvassing Bryan County, scouting potential film locations and photographing them for inclusion with permission from the owners in the film locations database with the Film and Music Office in Oklahoma. As I prepared the journey of making this presentation for you, I received a spreadsheet of every location in the state included in the database. And using the tools at my disposal, I calculated the total amount each county had represented. I'm proud to say that as a result of my efforts, Bryan County ranks number 10 out of 77 counties in the state as far as locations represented. Since creating Film Durant, I've met with or talked with 5 different productions that have shown an interest in filming in Durant. My favorite story was from December 17th, 2018. The rest of the United States that weekend had been chattering about Ada, thanks to the Netflix docuseries The Innocent Man, based on the John Grisham book. In our community, as we were elated about the upcoming visit from Amanda Brinkman and the Small Business Revolution, I was touring around a location scout looking for locations for a television show. I was only told that she was from a streamer, and they needed locations that looked like the 1960s, and she had several she wanted to see from the locations database. I, as well as Katie Quinn, then from the Chamber of Commerce, took the scout around for several hours that morning, and during a break, the scout left the room to make a phone call to her production designer. After several minutes, she comes running down the hall excitedly. "My production designer went to Southeastern Oklahoma State University." What? Her production designer was none other than Bill Groom, a multiple Emmy Award winner from Boardwalk Empire. A month later, while on a phone call with Tava Maloy-Safsky, the director of the Oklahoma Film and Music Office, a personal acquaintance, she let it slip that the location scout from a streamer was looking for locations for season 3 of Amazon's The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. The importance of this film permit is so we can qualify to become a film-friendly city with the Oklahoma Film and Music Office. Thanks to my effort, we already meet the other qualifications. The only withstanding criteria is this film permit. Being film-friendly will give us a boost with the office, where we will be promoted to productions for the film-friendly notation ahead of other cities. who have not qualified or applied. And as someone who strives to see Durant and Bryan County show up on screens, this is an important goal. The film permit allows the Film and Music Office to know that when we are approached, there is a process in order to make sure that the city is protected and aware of the production and that the production is set up for success. And with the passage of Senate Bill 608, the arrival of film, television, and web productions is increasing exponentially. And with the inclusion of the additional benefit to productions that film in counties of less than 250,000 population and unrelated to this permit, but relevant to other cities in the county, municipalities that have a less than 13,000, Durant has everything to gain and nothing to lose. Yusuf Kazemi, locations coordinator for the Oklahoma Film and Music Office, has told me that it only takes one production to put a community on the map, one production that shows something that another production hasn't seen. And then the other productions follow, and there's evidence to show this. So I appreciate you allowing me to present, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Anyone have any questions? That was a pretty good.
It was a very thorough presentation.
Thank you.
I didn't catch your name.
I'm sorry?
Your name?
Tyler Slauson.
Tyler Slauson. I appreciate
Very
it.
excited about getting this on the agenda.
Appreciate you coming up here.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I remember when they filmed that, the
Two-lane black
Culver Milk sign was in on the one of the earlier scenes.
My dad was briefly in that video, in that movie.
Really?
He was one of the police officers in Boswell when they were tampering with the tag. He was the one that chased them, and they filmed part of that in Boswell, and then they went to Tishomingo and filmed it over that long bridge.
Oh, did they?
My dad, yeah.
I didn't know that part. Interesting.
You go out there and talk to my dad, he'll keep you there about 4 hours talking about it.
Well, believe it or not, I
What
think
was that, about 5 seconds worth of video?
No, I'm talking like the edited version, like that would actually come out. You see my dad and another guy sitting in the police car for about 2 seconds. And that's all you see, his face, and then they chase him, of course.
It was
That's
the
worth
only
every bit of 4 hours of conversation.
He'll tell you all the details, like partying with them on the bus.
It was the only film acting performance by James Taylor, and it also had one of the members of the Beach Boys in it. I forgot his name offhand. But
Dennis Wilson.
Dennis Wilson, that's him.
Yeah, my dad said James Taylor would always wear gloves. Like when you shook his hand and everything, he was always wearing a glove. He was, I guess, a germaphobe or something. But
Interesting. Any questions? Any discussion?
Appreciate you, your presentation.
I appreciate you letting me present.
Call for a motion.
I make a motion to approve ordinance O 2022-17, adding chapter 114 for film and video production, be sections 1 and 2.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. Number 2, ordinance O-2022-17, section 3, emergency clause.
Make a motion to approve emergency clause.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. Item 4D, discussion, consideration, and possible action on ordinance O-2022-18, amending section 93.01, adoption of fire prevention code of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Durant, Oklahoma. 1, ordinances O-2022 through 18, section 1 through 2.
So as staff has been looking over ordinances, one of the ordinances that was brought to our attention was the fire code ordinance, where it doesn't specify the actual fire code that is adopted, nor the year that's adopted. So in order to correct that, we drafted this ordinance. The ordinance is a draft ordinance that comes out of the ICC book for the IFC, as well as our contracted fire marshal helped us out on this as well. We adopted the 2018 fire code. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to say that, John. That's why I paused for a minute. Appendix B, C, and D, and as well as the Oklahoma Uniform Building Code Commission, those sections there as well. Our current fire chief and our now retired fire marshal did look at this and approved the chapters that are in here. So staff did recommend approval of this ordinance. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
Did you say this is the same, or the most recent one that's adopted by the state as well?
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Call for the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance O 2022-18, sections 1 through 3.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
Mayor, that will actually be section 1 to 2.
1
Yes,
through
1 to 2,
1 and
yes.
2. Yes.
Apologies, I added a number in there.
That's all. Thank you, Cindy. Motion passes. D2, ordinance O-2022-18, section 3, emergency clause.
Motion to approve emergency clause, section 3.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, second. Call for the vote. Motion, is that the same one, y'all? Okay, motion passes. Number 4, are you finished? Thank you
I
so
am,
much.
thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4E, discussion, consideration, and possible action on an interlocal agreement between the City of Durant, Oklahoma, Durant Emergency Management, Durant 911 Communications Center, and the Durant Independent School District, C-2022-37. Mr. James.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Appreciate the opportunity to present this to you. As many of you know, with the recent shooting events that have occurred at Uvalde and other places, the Durant Public Schools approached the City of Durant and wanted to redo an agreement that we had in place before, where it will allow us to share technology from the school. That way we can actually view cameras within the school. We can view internet posts that they are putting out or anything like that. We had originally entered into an agreement with them about 4 years ago, and this is a refresh of that agreement that just allows us to share that documentation and kind of spells out what the purpose for it is. So some of the entities have changed since the original agreement. Council members have changed, school board members have changed, so we thought it'd be a good time to redo this agreement as well. If there are any questions, I'll field them.
Any questions for Mr. James? If not, call for a motion.
I might add, we've been meeting with them in a task force every 2 weeks to try and iron out some of this other stuff as well, so.
Call for a motion.
I move we approve the interlocal agreement between the City of Durant 911 Communications Center and the Durant Independent School District, Agreement C-2022-37.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. 4F, discussion, consideration, and possible action on the mutual aid agreement between the City of Durant, Oklahoma, and the City of Denison, Texas, C-2022-38. Well, hello, Ken, you kind of slipped up on me there. How are you?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Along the same lines of E, back in 2011 and 12 respectively, we entered into agreements with Denison and Sherman for mutual aid for emergency services. And since that time, all the principles have changed from top down and here and there, council, all city government. We thought it'd be a good time to renew these. We've been meeting with them in the Texoma Mutual Aid Group. Both their side, the Texas side, both entities have said they want to do this, and we've invoked this many times since 2011 and 2012. They've invoked it. Our fire department's gone over and helped at the big downtown fire. Sherman, some fires. They run the ambulances over there out of their fire department. They've come and staged at Calvert, like at Love's. If we have something big going on here, just to be sure they could cover the rest of the county while our EMS is doing their job. Bryan County EMS is doing their job. Just things like that. It paves. This agreement paves the way. Where we don't, in other words, we're giving prior approval to go help, and they're getting prior approval to come help. And that's all this is.
Any questions for Mr. Kennedy? Call for a motion.
Make a motion to approve the mutual aid agreement between the City of Durant and City of Denison, Texas, C 2022-38.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. Item 4G, discussion, consideration, and possible action on the mutual aid agreement between the City of Durant, Oklahoma, and the City of Sherman, Texas, C-2022-39.
And this is exactly the same thing.
Okay. Any questions or call for a motion?
Make a motion to approve the mutual aid agreement between the City of Durant, Oklahoma, and the City of Sherman, Texas, C 2022-39.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second. Yeah.
We have 2 seconds, I think. So, call for the vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Kenny. Item number 4H, discussion, consideration, and possible action for Shirelli, John, is that how you say it? Shirelli Construction Corporation DU-20-03 change order number 2 for a necessary road bore related to sewer improvements on University Boulevard, C-2021-85.
Mayor, Councilman, we're putting our new 12-inch water line up University, on the north side of University. Well, we came to Radio Road, and it's the only public access for the houses on that road. So we felt like we needed to bore that road instead of shut it down for 3 days. Also, instead of doing head-on-head traffic, if we shut one side down, fix it, and then do the other, you'd have head-on-head traffic. So we decided boring would be the best option on this city street.
Any questions?
And there's no other way to reroute.
Not with city public access.
I just asked because we approved this, taking approximately $3.1 million budget for this project. I'm not saying it doesn't need to be done, and I'm saying now we're at almost 3.8 million.
Yes, sir.
It just seems like there's more and more surprises on something. I mean, that's 33% increase. I'm not saying it's not needed.
Right.
It's just,
Is this because we didn't know that the water line was there? I mean, it's not on the maps?
Well, it's not because of a water line. It's because the houses at the end on the north side of on Radio Road,
That's the only public access to them. And we didn't know, we added the sewer line because we need the capacity. And
did we bore the road for the sewer line?
that's what this is for, to put the new sewer line through,
okay.
yes.
And this is $120,000 to drill a hole underneath the street?
Yes, sir. It has to be
business.
It has to be it has to be auger bored so they can stay on grade.
Any further questions or discussion? Call for a motion.
I move we approve change order number 2, number C-2021-85 for Shirley Construction Corporation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Philip. 4, aye. Oh, Lord, hey, Becca. Discussion, consideration, and possible action for Core and Main LPDU-19-03 change order number 1 for a contract amount decrease related to the Bureau of Reclamation Water Smart Water Energy Efficiency Grant, Project R19APOO-124 for the citywide automated meter reading AMR conversion and advanced metering infrastructure project, C-2020-18.
Oh, and you know it's a big project when we bring Brandon.
When we bring the big guns in, huh?
And you should have brought him up while ago.
He nodded no.
The citywide AMR project is successfully completed. And to bring you some good news following Philip's bad news, is this project came in under budget, the original, where's my, $502,264.
Would you repeat that?
It came under budget, $502,254. So there's a decrease for this change order because we're utilizing some of the extra funding to purchase some AMR units because of our exponential growth that's happening. And engineer and Philip and the city manager talked and said we ought to go ahead and lock in the price for some new meters with this additional funding. So with purchasing 157,030 of meters, we will still be under budget $345,000.
Well, that's some good news.
Yes, ma'am. Brandon, you have anything else to add to that?
Not unless they have questions about the reason we were under budget.
Yeah. Are there any questions? Why are we under budget? That's unusual.
So if you'll recall, you had a proposal from a company to actually come in and replace all your water meters and all your infrastructure equipment. And it was a lump sum proposal that had quantities, and you elected to bid it out. I guess that was smart because us and your public works guys actually physically measured everything that went in, and there was less meters, less collectors, less meter setters, less meter boxes, less lids, and that's just the grand total of all the underages. So I'd commend Public Works Department and everybody that was involved for holding the contractor's feet to the fire and just paying for what you actually put in, and not that original lump sum proposal that was proposed to you guys. So it was a win It was a win for the city for sure.
Any questions?
Just appreciate y'all's hard work. It's turned out to be a very good project.
Yes, we got 500 free meters basically out of it.
Yeah, it's a great job.
I'm not a bit surprised that you guys did that either. Thank you.
And you might also add that after the installation of the new meters, your water loss, the last water loss that I saw went over with Philip was down to 6%. And you were up closer to 50 before the installation of the meters
Wow.
various months. So it's between their fixing of the water leaks over the past 2 years especially, and the new meters, you're down to below the statewide average for water loss. That's something to be proud of as well.
It certainly is. Thank you so much.
You guys have really made strides in the past year and a half on fixing water leaks, and now the new meters are just kind of the icing on the cake. So we're at that 6%. If you stay there, that's phenomenal.
So you probably don't know the answer to this, but what does that relate to in dollars?
I believe last month it was about or for the year about $450,000. So
for the
total
year?
water and sewer, yes, sir. You know, we were working on the project throughout the year, so.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Thank you.
It's kind of nice to sit up here and hear good news sometimes.
We let Philip do the bad one, and we came up with the good one.
On this project, have we noticed any increase in what we're billing people for? That we probably weren't billing correctly.
Well, that's what we were talking about, is the additional revenue generated for the year was about $450,000.
450. I mean,
Yes, sir.
that's on the additional revenue. That's not what it costs us to produce the water we were losing, right? No.
Correct.
That's just on the revenue income.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions? Discussion? Call for a motion?
I'm not sure which numbers we're going to use here, but I'll make a motion to approve change order number 1 and the contract amount decrease related to the Bureau of Reclamation Water Smart Water Energy Efficiency Grant Project, C 2020-18.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Becca. Item 4J, discussion, consideration, and possible action on the Local 3061 International Association of Firefighters Collective Bargaining Agreement for fiscal year 2022 through 2023.
Yes, ma'am. You have the bargaining agreement in your packet. There were minimal changes. A lot of it was language cleanup. So entertain any questions if you have any.
Any questions? I think it was pretty well explained, so, but if anyone has any questions, if not, call for the motion.
Make a motion to approve Local 3061 International Association of Firefighters Collective Bargaining Agreement for fiscal year 2022-2023.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. Item number 4K, discussion, consideration, and possible action on a contract with Durant Tourism Economic Development Authority, DTEDA, for beautification services.
Yes, ma'am. We were approached by several members of the Durant Tourism Authority on what was going to be needed to keep that intersection area there, 6975 and Main Street, between University Place and 21st, in a higher state of maintenance for people coming and going off of 6975. And so it was agreed upon, and Tourism Authority approved $102,000 to support the maintenance of that area. That's the purchase of capital equipment and staffing of one additional person for parks that would be responsible for that, approximately 23 acres to maintain. So that's the first year. The second year, they reduced that because the capital is, equipment would already be purchased, so they were just paying for a portion of labor. So.
Thank you. Any discussion? Any questions?
That continual labor is around 42,000?
42.5, I believe, yes, sir.
Call for the motion.
Make the motion that we approve the memorandum with the Durant Tourism Authority.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. Item number 4L. Discussion, consideration, and possible action on 6th amended resolution establishing fees and costs charged by the City of Durant, Durant City Utilities Authority, and Durant Airport Authority for Durant Services R-2021-02F.
This resolution has two items that are, one is, actually both are added. One is an hourly rate for baseball, softball, which we have not had. Ryan proposed that to be $15. And then the other addition is there is no, it's not written anywhere on the free dump as at the landfill. And so this puts it in the fee schedule and spells it out as being a free charge for up to 1,500 pounds for residents. With the presentation of your utility bill, yes, ma'am.
Any questions? Call for a motion.
I move we approve Durant Services Resolution R-2021-02F.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. We will now recess out of the Durant City Council and move into the, I can find the difference, the Durant Utility Authority.
Madam Mayor, will we be addressing new business before or after?
After. Yeah, it's just reversed, and you put it reversed, and I just changed it back.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, we'll give Cindy a minute for us to sign in, and then we will start with the Utility Authority, Durant Utility Authority. We don't want to run everybody off. Cindy, let me know when you're ready. Humphrey and Steve and Humphrey. We're good? Okay, the Durant, I'm not, just a minute. The Durant City Utilities Authority is now in session. Call to order. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Trustee Brittingham.
Here.
Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Morris.
Here.
Vice Chairman Shear.
Here.
Chairman Groby.
Here. We are all here. Consent items. We have consent items A. We have consent items B. We can take them one each, or we can approve them all as one item. Do we?
I would like to withdraw A, line maintenance monthly report. Have a discussion on it.
On which one?
Item A, line maintenance monthly report.
We gotta approve the.
That's not on there.
Oh, okay.
We're not quite there,
Okay.
Dan.
Okay, this,
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Are you approving just the minutes, or you can approving both
A
items?
and B, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. Under information items, I believe Councilman Scherer wanted to ask a question or wanted to talk about item A, line maintenance monthly report. Is that correct?
Yes, and probably the C, solid waste report.
Okay, do you want the,
Whoever is, Randy or Philip?
Not here, but yeah.
Okay.
What can I help? What questions do you
What
have?
is the situation on the water line servicing the residents on Rodeo Road? They have extremely low water pressure.
Yes, sir, we're pumping everything that we can out there. What we have is a 12-inch line feeding everything from Main Street south and back to the east. Our water plant has been pushing our pumps. We're pumping 2,000 gallons per minute for the last 2 weeks, 24 hours a day. We have a small line that's feeding Choctaw and Rural 5. We were able to catch up a little bit. I've talked to Rural 5, and we've got the Choctaws back on their watering some, and that's helped our pressure and stuff in town. But we're doing everything we possibly can with the size of lines that we have out in that area. Me and Brandon talked about it. We had a meeting about it yesterday.
What do we need to do
We need a 20-inch water line running out there.
I have a question, I guess, since this has been brought up. Didn't we approve a pretty substantial subdivision out there just recently? Was this not taken in consideration?
Two subdivisions.
2 or 3. Yeah, they've
I'm just
been.
thinking of the one right there on Radio.
Are those
On
going to be
Rodeo?
serviced by
Rodeo,
the
I mean,
same? Are those going to be serviced by the same line? What are we going to do?
We're going to have to put a bigger line out that way.
Is that on the drawing boards?
We've talked about it.
From where to where?
From the high service pump station to the airport.
Which is?
On Gerlach Street. That 12-inch line was put in back in, I'm going to say probably the early 70s. That's what used to serve the whole town of Durant.
So I guess another question. You weren't here, but when this is brought to the council and questions are asked and it's given to us to approve, and this is tossed around among the department heads and whoever's involved, I mean, this was not brought up, that this was already an issue when we were told that it's okay?
Actually, to tell you the truth, this is one of the first times we've had this issue.
I beg to differ. This has been going on for 3 or 4 years.
I wasn't aware.
No, you weren't here, but
I wasn't aware of it.
They've been dealing with this for at least 3 years.
Okay. So.
Sounds concerning, I mean.
It's
inexpensive.
It can be, yeah.
What if there's a fire?
We keep water at the towers. It's just the consumption that's out there, that the pressure, they're pulling it out of the lines. But most of the time, I mean, the water towers have water in them. So fire protection is there.
I don't know, if you can't get that trickle out of your faucet, what's a fire hydrant going to do?
I know they have low pressure, but we've tested them out there, and they have adequate pressure that is regulated by DEQ. No, they don't have the 45 pounds that they're normally used to, but all we're required is 25 pounds at their tap.
And we've approved how many houses being built in that area?
So we're in the hundreds.
Come on up, Danielle.
Are you talking about the development that's at Rodeo and Ninth, in that kind of area, that triangle piece? There's approximately, and we haven't received the final plat yet, but they've been working on it. And there's gonna have to cut some out because of sewer line in the area, so you're talking maybe 70 homes, maybe. I think originally they had 80 lots on that one. Another one in that area, I don't think there's any other large ones in that area that I'm aware of. There was one that was approved, a preliminary plat years ago, but it's past that time where it's now expired, so they'll have to start the process all over should that come through again.
What about the apartment complex we just approved for Choctaw?
That's on South 9th on the
Yes.
other side, that's on the bypass. I don't know if
Is
it's
that
the same water line.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, there's 12 inch.
It's the same
Is that the same
We
one?
loop around all over Durant. I mean, it loops from 1st Street to 13th and all around.
And I think for that one, Choctaw stated that they're gonna use that new water tower that they're building out there. They're gonna use that water tower to service those apartments and those businesses there. For that particular one.
I guess it'll be the same reason I only have 30 pounds of pressure on my lines right now at our store. Okay.
And ours seems low as well at the house in the middle of town.
Ours is low enough. Our carbonators for our fountain drink machines are acting up, and we thought they were going out, but the companies come out and they said, no, your water pressure's too low, because they're supposed to have, I think, 35 or 40. One of them, we're sitting on 30. We got a gauge on our ice machine back in the back, so.
So that's because of the usage, the high usage with the heat.
Because it's
extreme heat.
102 and to 105 degrees. Yes,
Right.
ma'am. And no rain.
We might get 10% tomorrow. We have a 10% chance tomorrow. I heard.
Yes, ma'am.
Heard on the way
Someone
down.
once told me that means a 90% chance we won't.
Gotta
It
keep
might
your fingers
surprise
crossed.
us. Okay.
I hope it does.
Okay.
I really do. Philip, thank you. I mean, I'm not,
Thank you.
that's just, Mr. Sheriff.
I've got one other, I don't know if it'd be you or, on the landfill, are we not taking any, like, are we turning people away because we can't haul stuff off?
We have been, yes, sir. But where you have rectified that problem, are we hauling, did we let people in now, Kenny?
Yeah, we did today.
We started today. Yeah, we have been backed up because we had our extra haul over the weekend where we collected 276 stops that filled our transfer station up. And we had 1.5 trucks going to Ardmore.
What's the situation on the trucks?
We've got 2.5 going. He crossed his fingers. We're fixing to order 2 new trucks, but all indications it'll be April next year before we receive them.
Can we lease some?
We've looked into leasing. You still can't get them right now. I mean, the backup is crazy.
Is this the trucks or the trailers or both?
Well, it's the trucks. We need the trucks. Right. We've got several trailers, but we need the trucks.
Our trucks are just worn out?
Yes. 500,000 miles plus on them.
Well, it's hard to get anything
Yes, sir.
right now. I
Right,
don't know
yes, it
why,
is.
but, I
It
mean,
is.
anything,
Any vehicle that we're looking at, we're 3 to 6 months out before we receive it. That's trash trucks, that's his transfer trucks, that's new work trucks, anything. We still have not received trucks that we got last budget year because they've been on back order.
Since we just approved some mutual aid agreements for other things, could we reach out to other cities and see if there's something?
We've reached out
Have we?
to certain people and tried to lease, and they didn't work out because their wet kit wouldn't work on our trailers because they wasn't big enough to dump them. We've been trying every solution we know, but we got another one that, cross your fingers, be on the road tomorrow.
Barbed wire and duct tape, huh?
Yeah. We're trying our best, I promise.
anything
Okay,
else? Yeah.
that's good, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Philip. Okay, we have nothing under administration. Under number 5, new business. Do we have anything under new business? If not, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
We have two motions. Do we have a second? We have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Call for the vote. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing here.
Oh, did I leave too soon? I didn't vote.
It took it a minute to pop up. Everybody online?
I vote yes. I don't see anything.
All right, if everyone would raise your hands, you're ready to adjourn?
Okay, we are now adjourned from the utility department, and it is now close to about 8 minutes after 7. We'll wait, and I always rush Cindy. Sorry, Cindy. We all got to change anyway, get back where we need to be. We're getting better, everybody. Okay, the Durant Airport Authority is now in session. We are now called to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Brittingham.
Here.
Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Morris. Vice Chairman Shear.
Here.
Chairman Groby.
Here. We all stayed so far. Okay, order of business under number 1, consent items. There are 2 items, A and B. Approval of the regular minutes and then the fee cost changes. Do we have a motion?
I motion we approve consent items.
Second.
I was fast. We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Mine didn't pop up either. Did yours, Danny?
Yeah.
It didn't pop up, Cindy.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Consider items removed. Under administration, there's no business. Under any new business, do we have a motion for adjournment from the Airport Authority?
I'll motion we adjourn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Call for the vote. Mine didn't pop up either.
Yes.
I'm a yes. I'm just getting clear in my, the motion passes. We are now out of session on the Airport Authority. It is 7:10, looks like. I'll learn one day, Cindy. I'm so sorry. We are now in the Durant Development Authority. It is called to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Brittingham.
Here.
Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Morris.
Here.
Vice Chairman Shear.
Here.
Chairman Groby.
Here. We're all here. There are no, well, I guess under consent items, we need to have those approved. A, B, C, the minutes. Do we have a motion?
I move we approve all consent items.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have 2 seconds. Call for the vote. Motion passes. Under administration, nothing. Any new business? Call for adjournment. Call for the motion.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote.
It's not showing, but it was unanimous to adjourn.
We all voted, I'm sure, to adjourn.
Yeah, it was unanimous to adjourn.
Okay, so we're ready now to go back to the council meeting.
Do they need to re-sign if everyone could re-sign into the council.
We ready? Okay, we will now reconvene into the regular council meeting. Item 1 is executive session. Consider executive session for confidential communication with attorney pending litigation involving the city of Durant, where disclosure will impair the ability of the public body to discuss and analyze the litigation, City of Durant versus Resource One Administrators, Inc., and all, in the District Court of Tulsa County, case number CV-2020-3710. This executive session authorized by Title 25, Section 307B4 of the Oklahoma State Statute. We will now, do I have a motion that we go into executive session?
All motion, we enter an executive session.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. We will now go into executive session, and don't everybody leave. We will be back. Where am I? Thank you to everybody that stayed. We really appreciate that. We was fast today, weren't we? Okay, let's see. Do we need a motion to bring us back into session? Okay, all right, we are now back in, reconvening back into the city council. Under executive session, number 2, consider action pursuant to executive session item 1.
I move we authorize staff and legal counsel to continue litigation against Resource One to possibly pursue a settlement on issues that have happened during their TPA administration with our health insurance plan.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk record the vote? Oh, motion passes. Next item, last item on here, new business. Do we have any new business?
Actually, Madam Mayor, I have a couple of things I'd like to discuss briefly.
Okay.
I plan on using the city council protocol and add a couple of agenda items to the next available agenda to discuss, consider, and take possible action on. The first one is concerning the city attorney position, and I'm going to move to eliminate the full-time city attorney position, saving the city $131,000, and recommend to continue with Creighton Contractual Services, which cost estimated $50,000 to $60,000 a year. The second part of that is to increase the police department's drug enforcement fund, which right now sets at a paltry $2,700 or $2,376, and I just think that that's unacceptable. But obviously, we'll be able to discuss that at the next item. So that's all I have.
So you're asking that this be put on the next
I'm just
agenda?
notifying the council that's going to happen. I'll follow the proper protocol.
Okay.
This is the only opportunity to let everybody know at one time,
Okay.
legally.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. We're now adjourned. Thank you all so much for being here.